Hello everyone, and today we're going to be revisiting Dragonmaids as everyone has been asking me to. We're going to start off by looking at a slightly more optimized, pure version of the deck. I do have a whole bunch of different variations in mind, but in order to help sort of build upon the idea, we need to better understand what Dragonmaids are, what makes them unique, and how we can actually take what's good about them and apply it to potentially other decks. So we're going to build a pure version for now. I've been testing a lot of different variants and it's been driving me up the wall because I'm playing in Diamond. That's the thing, whenever I bring a deck profile out, I want the deck profile to be usable in Diamond. I want it to be able to win games in Diamond, to climb through Diamond. That's the goal. Anyone can build a deck that will climb through Silver and Gold. Most people can build a deck that will climb through Platinum. That's not the goal. We want to compete with the best of the best. In this deck, ain't it? It is. But the pure version does struggle a lot because it's naturally quite slow, so we're trying to compensate for those weaknesses. So what have we got? It's pretty much 3 of each of your main Dragonmaids. You're also running a small Red Eyes engine, very small Red Eyes engine. We'll cover it in more detail towards the end. We're running DPE here with Anaconda for a bit more power as well. We still got the Tidying, we still got the Changeover, so it's still pretty much pure Dragonmaids at this stage. We haven't mixed it up too much. So if you like what you're seeing and you want to see more, if you have any variations or ideas in mind of this deck or of any other deck you want me to cover, feel free to subscribe. Again, we're trying to get to 200 by the end of the week. We've seen massive growth and we really want to ride that high, so let's keep the momentum up here. Again, join in the Discord. We're also now going to be launching live streams at least 2 to 3 times a week. Notifications will be sent out in the Discord, so if you want to catch me live and you want to see how the sausage is made essentially, feel free to jump into the Discord and catch notifications to let you know when I'm live. And then we can sort of get talking then on stream as well. There's also a whole bunch of new social platforms that have been launched, but we'll get to that in another video. For now, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe and leave a comment, let me know what's going on, and let's get into game number 1. Getting in the game number 1 here, we are going first, which is good. Looking at our hand, we're off to a pretty strong start. We're going to use our Dragonmaid Ernus to summon out the Kitchen Dragonmaid. Unfortunately, we get negated. Our idea was we special summon out the Kitchen, it will search for Chamber, then we can normal Chamber, go in the Anaconda and get our search. Would have been a crazy turn 1. We didn't get it, unfortunately. We're going to use Fusion Destiny then to go into our Pheonix Enforcer, and we still have Tidying and Impermanence, so we have pop 1, negate 1, and return 1. Pretty good. That's not that bad. Let's keep that up. So our opponent's going to go for Tinky here. So fearing the Fractal, we're going to pop it early. Fractal gives our opponent far too much advantage. I would rather flip the coin on him not having it in his hand. Luckily enough, it doesn't seem as though he does. He uses Call by the Grave to stop our DP from coming back, which is fine. Normal summons Zodiac to go into his Trident. We use Imperm on the Trident. We were planning on saving the Tidying for the battle phase after we had resummoned the monster from grave, but he actually has Crossout Designator. So at this point we don't really have a choice but to use our Tidying, otherwise our dragon's just going to get destroyed anyway. So we're going to bounce both the monsters back to the deck, or sorry, to the hand. Our Imperm gets negated by Crossout, but who cares, the target's already gone, and the chain resolves. So 1 card each in hand. We have completely equalized and stabilized the game state. We can't revive DP, but we can bring back our Dasher. Then we'll normal summon out our Kitchen. Kitchen's going to search our deck for Chamber. We can then we have to discard the Chamber because of Kitchen's effect, but we can use Dragonmaid Tidying then, banish it to summon the Chamber from the grave, search for Changeover. Now at this point our opponent surrenders, but at this point we were basically fully able to go into further link plays. We were going to link away our Dasher so that we could draw 2 off of Celestial. So we had a whole bunch of plays we were going to go into there. Our opponent only had 1 card in hand. He decided there's no way he's winning that. I really wanted to show that replay off because it does show sort of the idea behind this sped up version of the deck, as well as the sort of 1-to-1 trade we were going off of against what is essentially a top tier deck. You know, Zodiac Tri-Brigade has been dominant since day 1. It has had the smallest of taps on the wrist, and yes, it may have lost its crown in terms of being the best, but that doesn't take away the fact it's still one of the best. So beating it with a rogue deck, regardless of the status, is no mean feat and should not be ignored. So I did want to show that one off. Let's get into game number 2. Alright, getting into game number 2, we are going first here again, and look at this hand, we're looking nice. Ernus here, discard to special summon out the Chamber. Chamber goes to search, but we get negated by Ash. We don't mind that too much, we do have Pot of Prosperity. I sort of wish I used Pot of Prosperity first in hindsight, and you're going to see why. So because we special summoned out the Chamber, we can normal summon Parlor, which will send the Changeover to the graveyard. Now, we reveal the top 3 of the deck, and we see the Black Metal Dragon there. I really wish I had to use that first. Black Metal Dragon would have been a significantly better normal summon. We're going to use Changeover to return Chamber back to hand. Then we'll use Changeover, fuse the 2 dragons in hand to go into our house. So we've now got the Sheou on the field. We set 1, so we've got 2 negates, 1 Omni, 1 monster. Our opponent's got -1 in hand, so that's pretty good. We summon out the Chamber. Chamber searches for 1, so we got the Tidying here for some follow-up. So we're looking pretty good. Our opponent goes for Terraforming. I expected to see Numeron Network, but it's actually Spirals. Now, the main reason I'm showing this game off is this guy's deck was insane. Really makes me want to try Spirals. I never see this in play, but every time I do, it destroys me. It is such a cool deck. So our opponent goes for Magician's Souls here after we negate his field spell. Summons it out, summons the Spiral Quick Fix. Now we're going to negate the Quick Fix. What I didn't read about him at first is that is not once per turn. Every time he summons that card, he gets to search. That is dangerous. He's going to go for War Arf now to search his deck for the Spiral Gear Drone, which is pretty busted. He's going to use Spiral Superurge in here. He guesses the top card of our deck is a monster, and he summons out his card as a result. And he's able to go into Super Helix now because of that. And he knows the card on top of our deck now, so all of his guessing effects he knows the answers to, because it is the Chamber Dragonmaid. Summons out the Masterpiece. He use these 2 to go into Selene, Queen of whatever that says, Master Magicians. Alright. Spiral Master Plan then activates in the graveyard. What's that going to do? Add a Spiral Sleeper to hand, as well as a Spiral Resort, is that? I believe it was. Resort, yes. Which basically allows him once per turn to search for a Spiral card, and it also means he can't be targeted. That's why we negated it earlier on, because if we didn't negate it, our Imperm would have essentially been dead. He's going to summon Master Plan out again, another card against freely summon itself over and over. Or sorry, no, it was summoned by the Selene. He's going to use these 2 to go into the Apollosa, and I was surprised he didn't go in the Accesscode Talker, but you're going to see what this guy does here, and it is absolutely insane. He's going to resummon out the Double Helix here. Quick Fix is going to discard a card to special summon itself out of the field and search again, this time going for the big red. Then the Spiral Mission is going to activate in the graveyard, banishing itself to special summon out the Drone. Drone then is going to change the order of cards on top of the deck. He summons out the Master Plan yet again, and it'll add Spiral Mission Rescue now to the hand. He's going to link summon using, exceed summon using these 2 into Dullahan, which is going to half the attack of our Housemaid, so who really cares about that? He'll resummon Quick Fix yet again. He's going to use these monsters to go into Trigate Wizard. I haven't seen this guy since the starter deck, the Cyber starter deck in like real life. He summons out Master Plan yet again, grabs another Rescue, then he's going to link summon into Cerberus, and I was slowly clicking on to what this guy's doing here. So this guy, he also goes into Pheonix. So what this is, Trigate Wizard gains effects depending on how many co-linked monsters he has. A co-linked monster is a monster that points to it, and it points, they basically point to each other. So now, any battle damage he inflicts when attacking a monster, doubled. He can freely banish a card on the field once per turn, and he can also negate and banish a card once per turn. Trigate Wizard, when fully buffed out by having 3 co-linked monsters, is actually insane. He's also going to summon out a Spiral Sleeper here, as well as using the Spiral Gear in the hand. He'll use that basically to pop 3 cards in the field. He's going to destroy our 2 monsters, banish our house, and that is one of the cleanest OTKs I think I've ever seen in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Our hand was decent. We did some okay plays. You know, we were setting up there. We were going to resummon a bunch of dragons from the graveyard. So ours was kind of cool. His was amazing. That was sick. So while I did show off a little bit about Dragonmaids, what this goes to show, and this is important to recognize, Dragonmaids, especially not pure Dragonmaids, is not going to be the best deck. It's not even going to be the best rogue deck. It's not even close, to be honest. It is still a good deck, and you still will be able to win games. You will not be able, in my opinion, to climb to Diamond 1 using this deck. I don't think that's feasible. And you can definitely play the game in Diamond, and you can for sure get to Diamond using it. But I believe as soon as you hit that Diamond barrier, it loses a lot of its viability. I will be perfectly honest. So if you're not in Diamond yet, by all means, it is a phenomenal starter deck. That's what I've always said about Dragonmaids. It is an excellent, excellent starter deck. As soon as you get into more experienced play though, it will start to taper off. It does have a cap, so be aware of that. But either way, let's get into game number 3. Alright, getting into game 3 here, and this is a slightly different version of the deck that I was initially testing out. I feel like throwing in a couple of curveballs here just to help you see the other possibilities of the deck. We were playing Hospitality in this particular version, which is a pretty good card. It can take the place of Ernus, so it can. If you don't want to play Ernus, it basically does the same thing, to be perfectly honest. So our opponent here is playing Adventure Prank Kid, so he's going to go into all the standard stuff here. He's going to send Pandemonium, summon out Dropsies, link summon into Doodle. That's going to add 1 from deck to hand. His Dropsies in, I'm assuming, is going to summon the Wind 1 from deck. We are going to negate using Imperm here, which was a little bit pointless. I realized as soon as I used it that, yeah, he's just going to link summon into another one, so it doesn't really matter. He doesn't get that search though, which is something at least. He's going to link summon into a second Rooster here. I'm not calling it that again, that's indignifying. He's going to tribute it to add 2 from graveyard to hand, so now he's got 3 different Prank Kids in his hand, although his Pandemonium is in the graveyard. Unless he has another one in hand. Oh, he did, there it is. There's Pandemonium, so now he's going to go into Rocket Raid. For some reason, no Battle Butler, which I thought was very, very interesting. The Roxy's is going to banish a card from his hand to summon out the Lampsies as well as draw 1. Rocket Raid is going to summon out 2 of his Prank Kid monsters to the field. Fateful Adventure then is going to trigger to grab the Griffin Rider from the deck, discarding, of course, the Dracoback, which will equip onto his Adventure token. Now he's going to link summon using his 2 Prank Kids into Bow Wow, which I guess is going to boost his Rooster, and that's fine. So no Battle Butler, which I thought was very, very interesting. It does give us a fighting chance though. We're going to go Chambermaid here, which is going to get hit by Effect Veiler. Not what you want to see. And our opponent is also going to chain to that the Griffin Rider. So he has essentially not only had a monster negate in his hand, he has also now got an Omni negate on the field, which is fantastic. So we're going to use Hospitality here. Luckily, that is enough to scare him into using a Griffin Rider, and Hospitality is quite a strong card, so I can see why he would be nervous around it. So he negates the Hospitality. Luckily for us, that negates the activation and not the effect, therefore we can activate a second one. Now we're going to summon out Parlor Dragonmaid. We already have the Lorpar in hand, so unfortunately we don't get the Millet. So we're going to use Changeover's effect. We'll return the Chamber back to hand, refuse the 2 dragons in hand to go into Sheou. So that's our 3500 Omni negate. He's going to go for Bow Wow's effect and Meow Meow Moo's effect to add a couple of cards back. We're going to use our Sheou early here to negate that Bow Wow. He's going to Droplet us, which is very interesting. So the Droplet essentially is going to get rid of the Rooster to have the attack points of our Sheou and negate us, which is very, very interesting. I'll give him that. So now we're at 1750 for this turn, but it does just last this turn, so we're not in an awful position. We go into battle phase, that'll trigger the Parlor, return to summon Lorpar from the graveyard. That's big enough to take out the Bow Wow, and then at the end of the battle phase we summon Parlor back out and we end our turn. Our Sheou goes back up to 3500 and gets its negate back. We're in a pretty decent spot. That Dracoback is going to be a little bit rough because it will give him a free bounce of whatever he wants, which is unfortunate, but we couldn't really do anything about it. He goes to use that bounce that I just mentioned. We are basically forced to use our negate early to pop the Dracoback and summon out the House. That will basically just trigger the Dracoback to get itself back to the field though, so we didn't really prevent much. He's going to go into another link play here with Dropsies, summon out Lampsies from the deck, and then fusion summon again into the Weather Washer. So Weather Washer is, actually Lampsies first is going to summon the Wind monster from deck, and our opponent scoops it up. And why did they scoop? So if our opponent went to go into the battle phase there, we would have had 2 opportunities to bounce monsters from our field back to our hand. And why is that such a big deal? So while the biggest dragon, the 3500 dragon, is an Omni negate, the smaller, the House Dragon herself, whenever a monster is returned from your field back to your hand, you get to destroy a card your opponent controls. So if he had gone into his battle phase and tried to do anything aggressive, our House Dragonmaid would have put him back in his place, and it would have really shut him down from there. And then the recursion that you get as well off these Dragonmaids, he just sort of realized that this was not a grind game. He was going to win. We had the Tidying in hand, and he knew we had it because we searched it off of Chamber. So yeah, he just sort of clicked on, that wasn't going to go his way, so he scooped it up. So let's get into game number 4. All right, getting into game number 4 here, we are going first, which is great. We're going to use Hospitality here to summon the Lorpar out to the field. It'll also mill a Parlor from the deck. Again, that works both ways. So if you summon a big dragon, you send the little one. If you summon a little dragon, you send the big one. So we send Parlor to graveyard. Our opponent used Maxi, which is a perfect excuse for us to not do anything more. So we set our card, we pass over to our opponent. Again, we're playing Veiler in this version. It's very similar to the version I displayed at the beginning, just a couple of key differences that have been built on and improved. Our opponent's just going to go into the adventure engine here, some pretty standard stuff. Summons out the Griffin Rider, uses the Rite of Aramasir to summon out the adventure token and the Fateful Adventure. Normal summon Jet, which will trigger the Fateful Adventure to grab the Dragonback. And Fateful Adventure will discard the Dragonback to grab another Griffin Rider. He's playing multiple, and then he'll equip the Dragonback onto his token. Again, fairly standard stuff. I would expect to be seeing this a lot. He's going to go into Almiraj here, and then Jet Synchron's going to activate, discarding Lancia. Lancia is going to be a big one to watch out for. It's going to stop the adventure engine, so it is, and it's also going to stop Floanderies. So Lancia might be big in the format coming up here, so keep an eye on it. We go to use our Tidying here. We sort of don't have much of a choice, to be perfectly honest. We're going to use it to force the Griffin Rider's negate, then we're going to chain to that our effective healer in hand to shut down that Crystron Halki Fibrax. We really need to slow our opponent down here as much as we possibly can. Is it going to be enough? Apparently. He does take out our Lorpar. It leaves us in a really rough spot, and we're basically just going to wait and see what happens. So we do have Hospitality in hand. If we draw in the Dragonmaid, and we drew the Chamber Hospitality, then we're going to use it to try and bait out a negate, and it's going to summon out the Chamber Dragonmaid. Unfortunately, if we had to summon the Chamber Dragonmaid, we would have been in a better spot. So instead, we're going to use it to grab Parlor. We were hoping to bait the Griffin into negating our Parlor, but unfortunately, it didn't. He had an Imperm. So really rough spot. We're going to normal summon out our Chamber Dragonmaid. Chamber Dragonmaid gets searching. Of course, it's going to get negated by the Griffin Rider, and this adventure engine is so busted. It's really difficult. It's created this it's a difficulty barrier where a lot of decks sort of struggle to get over it. There's more than likely a way for Dragonmaids to abuse it, but it's certainly not in pure Dragonmaids. You're probably going to be talking about using Dragonmaids as a small engine in a larger deck in order to make that work. And that's an if and when type thing. He's going to go into Denglong here. We go to battle phase. We return the Chamber back to hand to summon the Lorpar out to our field. We're going to swing into the adventure token just to get some damage. We know we can't destroy it because of Fateful Adventure. Then we're going to summon out the Hieratic Seal. Whether or not that was a good move, I'm not sure, but it's not like we have much of a choice. Hieratic Sphere then is going to tribute itself to get rid of that Denglong early. We don't need him going into any additional synchro plays here. We'll summon a Kitchen to the field, which will allow us to grab Nurse and discard our Chamber. We're just hoping he doesn't have much in the way of plays here, but of course he does. He's running the adventure engine. He's running a third Griffin. This man is Griffined out. He's going to discard the name Pillars to grab the Griffin, summon Griffin out to the field. Then he's going to normal summon the Red Rouge Dragon. He's going to go into Baron de Fleur. So at this point, that is pretty much an easy OTK. We can see Lethal on the board. I'm not sitting around here just to find out that he's going to go and BM me. So he's going to summon out the Red Rouge Dragon. He's going to go into battle phase here. 16 to the face, 2k to the face, and that is game. So unfortunate. It does go to highlight the difficulty jump, the difficulty barrier in terms of how this deck is going to try and stack up if you're trying to play it pure. My advice is, if you are aiming to use Dragonmaids to climb in Diamond, don't be using it pure. So this is a really cool deck, and it's really fun, and it'll be really effective in lower ranks. Super good for people to learn the gist of how to optimize their Dragonmaids, slowly but surely working everything in. So if you take our first video on the topic to be an intro guide, this is like your intermediate guide. This is like, okay, you've got the basics, now this is what you're going to do to improve it. So let's get into the deck profile, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail. Alrighty, so let's get into what this deck does differently than the original version of what we posted. So first of all, one of the greatest toolboxes that, moving away from the base version, you'll have is your extra deck. And utilizing your extra deck to the fullest is how you're going to make any deck in the modern metagame work. So In terms of Dragonmaids, we're playing a fairly simple Dragonmaid package. It's still primarily Dragonmaids. We've got 3 of each of the main ones, 3 Chamber, which will search a spell or trap, 3 Parlor, which will mill a Dragonmaid card, and 3 Kitchen, which will search a Dragonmaid monster. So there are your 3 main searches. We're also playing a Nurse Dragonmaid. The main reason we're playing this and only playing it at 1 is to be summoned off of the Hieratic Seal. So you can summon this during your opponent's turn using a Hieratic Seal, which will then resummon one of your other Dragonmaids from the graveyard. It's also a decent follow-up card, so I do think playing it at 1 is beneficial. In terms of our bigger dragons, we're playing 2 copies of Ernus. This could be 3. You can also play Dragonmaid Hospitality instead of this. I just find this card to be more useful. It will basically summon a Dragonmaid from hand. We're playing Tinkhec and Lorpar basically as our level 8 targets for the Dragonmaids, as well as fusion materials with Changeover. That's virtually their only role. We're playing 1 Changeover as our fusion spell, and 1 Tidying, which is our bouncer card, as well as being able to banish itself from the graveyard to summon a Dragonmaid. So very, very sort of simple package. Again, just playing the 2 main fusion monsters in the extra deck. So what makes this unique then? We've got a few different things going on. First of all, the Red Eyes. The Red Eyes engine here is going to make this significantly better. So your primary sort of normal summon of the deck is not even any of your Dragonmaids. It's going to be the Black Metal Dragon. The reason being, it's essentially like a 1 card the Verte Anaconda, basically. So you would normal summon your Black Metal Dragon, or better yet, special summon it off of 1 for 1. Again, this is limited to 1, so don't count on that, but Pot of Prosperity sort of helps. So you summon out your Black Metal Dragon, you send it to the graveyard in a link summon of some description for either Linkuriboh, Striker Dragon, Salamangreat Almiraj, whatever it is you've got access to. So you'd send it off a link summon. Then its effect will activate in the graveyard to grab your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So ideally you would summon Striker Dragon off of the Black Metal Dragon, so you have a target to banish for the Red Eyes. So Red Eyes, you can banish a dragon on your field to special summon it out to your field, and once per turn you can summon a dragon from your hand or graveyard. So if you summon the Striker Dragon off of your Black Metal Dragon, banish the Striker Dragon, and at minimum you will be able to resummon the Black Metal Dragon to the field. There's your 2 monsters, there's your Link 2, and if you got this off of your 1 for 1, then you didn't even need to use your normal summon. Alternatively, if you went into that play with the Red Eyes and you had a Dragonmaid in your hand, the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon will special summon that Dragonmaid monster from your hand to utilize its effects before going into your Link 2. So if you have a Chambermaid in hand, you special summon Chambermaid out, get your search, get your mill, get your search. So it does help you with the effects of your other Dragonmaids, helping get them out onto the field that little bit quicker. It does sort of help with the speed and the pace of the deck, which is naturally quite slow, so we're trying to augment it just a little bit without driving it through the roof and ruining what the deck actually is. Moving on then, we are running the DPE engine because realistically this deck lacks some major breaking power. So the DPE engine adds a lot of sort of power and consistency to your turn 1, being able to easily go into it off of your Red Eyes engine or off of your Ernus. Again, if you want to play this card of 3, I would completely understand, because it is very good. You might even want to cut one of these guys, or maybe even both of them, because Ernus just does their job but better. So it is entirely up to yourself. I like having at least one of the level 8s in here though, just to be resummoned off of the Parlor and Kitchen's effects from the graveyard. That being said then, the DPE engine, fairly self-explanatory. Lastly is Union Carrier. I was playing Union Carrier as a bit of a joke. You don't have to play it. If you can go into your DPE and have the Buster Lock on the field as well, that's pretty powerful. But the deck does struggle with extension, so it's not always going to be very feasible. So you can take this out if you want if you fancy yourself another hand trap or another Link monster. Selene as well isn't necessary. That was from a previous version. If you want to put in something like the Knightmare Pheonix and the Knightmare Cerberus, or maybe even Apollosa, something like that, by all means. They're all good cards, and then you can play yourself an extra hand trap in here if you want to go for, I'm not sure, Droplet. Droplet is a very good one if you want to use. So the Buster Lock is entirely optional. It's probably better if you cut it, but it's neither here nor there. And our hand trap choices. So hand trap choices at the minute are one of my biggest points of contention. I despise flow under race so much already. it is all over the diamond rank ladder. It makes it very difficult for this deck to function. That's its biggest weakness. Floowandereeze is brutal. So we're playing hand traps specifically aimed at stopping Floowandereeze while still maintaining some sort of overall presence. Lightning Storm is going to be hugely detrimental against Floowandereeze. It also adds to your matchup against the likes of Eldritch, of which you again otherwise struggle with quite heavily. Imperm stops the Floowandereeze quite well, and Ash Blossom does a decent job of slowing them down. Effective Veiler is better than Ash Blossom in the Floowandereeze matchup, but Ash Blossom is much better against the Adventure Engine and many other decks compared to Effective Veiler. So that one's entirely up to yourself. Caught by the Grave, again, you can cut in favor of another hand trap. You want these 3 cards to be free Effective Veiler, by all means, go ahead. The hand trap selection's up to you. That's the part that you get the most sort of freedom with when it comes to this. I do like the 3 Lightning Storm though, and the 3 Infinite Impermanence is virtually mandatory. Lastly, Pot of Prosperity to get searching. Basically just helps you get access to your starters a little bit easier. The extra deck, again, fairly self-explanatory. You've got your DP because you need it. You've got your Dragonmaid fusions because you need them. Linkuriboh is here for the Black Metal Dragon engine if you've already used your Striker Dragon. It's also just generally a useful card. Salamangreat Almiraj is a fantastic Link 1 fodder. Striker Dragon is Link 1 fodder for the Red Eyes. Hieratic Seal of the Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres is a very good Link 2 monster in this deck because it'll special summon out your Nurse from the deck, which essentially gives you the option to resummon one of your Dragonmaids from the graveyard on your opponent's turn, giving you a lot of freedom, as well as setting up some defenses, and as well as that, your Nurse can tag out to summon a level 7 Dragonmaid from the grave, so that's how you get your Ernus back. These guys are all entirely optional. Pheonix is optional. IP Masquerena is optional. Verte Anaconda is necessary. Unicorn, Apollosa, Accesscode Talker, they're there for the extension into big plays if you can, but spoilers, you can't. So you may want to look into what you can put in these slots. If you want to play something crazy like Super Poly, and then do like Mud Dragon of the Swamp or something like that, by all means. But yeah, I'm not going to ramble on any longer. That's basically a breakdown of the full deck. This is basically just a step up to like an intermediate level of the previous deck profile we put up. It's not going to be perfect, and I can guarantee you people are going to bombard me with suggestions, which I am 100% open to. Feel free to leave them with me in the comments, and you're choked there. Leave them with me in the comments, or jump into the Discord. A lot of people have been chatting to me there recently about sort of what to do, so if you want to contact me directly and have those conversations, by all means. And there's also loads of other people in there who I dare say will be more than happy to help. So that having been said, I have nothing else really to say on the deck. If you enjoyed what you've seen today and you want to see more, or if you have any suggestions about any future content, feel free to let me know and hit the subscribe button while you're down there. You know, it's completely free. Does me a favor. Why not? You're already here. So having said all of that, I will see you all in the next one.